Captain June sipped his coffee and stared at the large screen. Another alien ship was coming. This was the 5th one this month. He sighed and put down his cup. "Captain, the alien ship is asking to talk again," said Officer Lee, looking up from her control panel. The spaceship was beautiful. It had smooth lines and glowed with a soft blue light. It was much prettier than the blocky human ships that looked like they were made from metal boxes. But Captain June wasn't impressed. "Send them the usual message," he said, leaning back in his chair. Officer Lee nodded and pressed a few buttons. On the screen, a message appeared. "Thank you for your interest in Earth. We are not looking for diplomatic relations at this time. Please leave our solar system." The command center of the Korean Space Defense Station was quiet. Everyone watched the screen, waiting for the aliens to respond. The aliens called themselves the Vosteri. They looked like giant birds with colorful feathers and 4 arms. They wore simple clothes that sparkled in the light. The screen flickered, and a Vosteri appeared. Its feathers were bright blue and gold, which meant it was an important diplomat. "Human friends," the alien said in perfect Korean. "We come with peace. The Galactic Concord wishes to welcome Earth to the community of spacefaring species. We bring gifts of technology and knowledge." Captain June nodded to Officer Lee, who sent another message. "We appreciate your offer. Earth is not interested at this time. Safe travels." The Vosteri's feathers flattened against its body, a sign of confusion or disappointment. "Perhaps we can arrange a meeting with your leaders. We have much to offer. Protection, trade routes, access to inhabited planets," the alien continued. Admiral Han walked into the command center. He was a tall man with gray hair and a serious face. Everyone stood straighter when he entered. "Still here, are they?" he asked, looking at the screen. "Yes, sir. They don't seem to understand." "No," said Captain June. Admiral Han frowned. "Connect me directly." Officer Lee quickly set up the connection. The Vosteri diplomat looked hopeful when Admiral Han appeared on its screen. "This is Admiral Han of Earth's United Defense Force. I will be clear. Earth is developing at its own pace. We will contact the galactic community when we are ready. Not before. Your persistence is becoming a concern." The Vosteri's feathers puffed up in surprise. "Admiral, the Concord has protocols for helping young species. It is unusual for—" "We are not asking for help," Admiral Han interrupted. "This is your final notice. Leave Earth space now, or we will consider your presence a violation of our sovereignty." The alien was silent for a moment. Then it bowed slightly. "We will leave as requested, but we will return in 1 Earth month with new proposals. The Concord wishes only friendship." The transmission ended. The alien ship turned slowly and moved away from Earth, its engines glowing brighter as it accelerated. "Why do they keep coming back?" asked a young officer from his station. Captain June turned to look at the massive view screen behind them. It showed the construction of Earth's newest battlecruiser. The ship was huge, almost 2 kilometers long. Its weapons systems were the most advanced humans had ever built. "They're afraid," he said simply. "They discovered us 50 years ago, when we were still sending basic rockets to our moon. Now look at us." Admiral Han nodded. "Most species take centuries to develop what we've built in decades. They don't understand us, and that scares them." Outside the station's windows, Earth looked peaceful and blue. But across the planet and beyond, humans were building ships, weapons, and colony vessels. "Send a message to all defense platforms," Admiral Han said. "Continue with the expansion plan. We have colonies to build." Captain June smiled slightly. The aliens would be back with more gifts and offers, and humans would keep saying no. They had their own plans for the stars. The great meeting hall of the Galactic Concord was filled with light. Thousands of different alien species sat in curved rows that rose high above the central speaking floor. Some floated in special tanks. Others wore breathing masks. All were worried. Ambassador Trill stepped onto the speaking floor. His blue and gold feathers were neatly groomed. As a Vosteri, he looked like a tall bird with 4 arms and a sharp beak. He bowed to the council. "Honored members of the Concord," he said in the common galactic language, "I bring troubling news about the species known as humans." The room grew quiet. Even the bubbling sounds from the water tank stopped. Trill touched a control panel, and a large image of Earth appeared above him. "This planet, called Earth by its people, continues to refuse all diplomatic contact. This is their 7th rejection in 3 months." A tall, thin alien with gray skin stood up. This was Counselor Mira, the head diplomat for new species. "In the Concord's 40,000-year history," she said slowly, "no species has ever refused to join us. It is not normal. It is not natural." Ambassador Trill nodded. "That is not all. Look at this." He changed the image. Now everyone could see a massive human ship under construction in Earth orbit. "Their technology advances too quickly," said Trill. "This ship has weapons that could damage our vessels. They built it in just 2 years." Murmurs spread through the hall. A large alien with 6 eyes spoke next. "How is this possible? They reached their moon only 70 years ago. Such progress is unheard of." "Humans are different," said Counselor Mira. "They don't follow normal patterns of development. They build weapons before they build peace. They expand before they are ready." Far away from the Concord meeting, Commander Sung sat in a small room on a hidden human base near Jupiter. He watched the Concord meeting through a secret camera that humans had placed in the hall years ago. The aliens didn't know that humans could understand all their languages now. Commander Sung recorded everything and sent the message back to Earth. It would take only minutes to reach the Korean Space Command Center. Back in the Concord Hall, the aliens continued talking. "What do the humans want?" asked a small green alien. "Have we not offered them enough?" Trill's feathers drooped. "We have offered them everything. Technology, star maps, protection, resources. They say they are not interested." "Not interested?" A large alien slammed its tentacle on the table. "How can they not be interested in what we offer? All species want our help." Counselor Mira raised her hand for quiet. "There is something else. Our observation ships report that humans are building more than weapons. They have started making colony ships. Big ones." A shocked silence filled the room. "They plan to expand to other star systems?" Someone asked. "Without our guidance, without following the proper order of development." "Yes," said Trill. "They already have plans for 17 colonies. They chose the star systems without consulting our databases or asking for our permission." Commander Sung smiled as he watched the aliens panic. He sent another message to Earth. Defense Minister Kang would be happy to know the aliens were worried. "We must try again," said Counselor Mira finally. "Send our highest diplomat. Offer them more. We must bring humans into the Concord before they spread too far." As the meeting ended, Commander Sung turned off his screen. He looked out the window of his hidden base at the giant planet Jupiter. Soon humans would build more bases here, then move to other stars. The aliens could talk all they wanted. Humans had their own plans. Defense Minister Kim stood at the window of the Seoul Command Center. Through the glass, she could see the city lights spreading into the distance. The sky was dark except for the bright shape of a ship entering the atmosphere. "It's bigger than the last one," said her assistant. Minister Kim nodded. The alien ship was huge and beautiful. It sparkled with lights of many colors and moved without making a sound. "They're sending their most important diplomat this time," she said. "They must be getting desperate." On the main screen of the command center, images showed the alien ship stopping high above the city. It sent out a message in all Earth languages at once. "People of Earth, I am Grand Emissary Xel of the Galactic Concord. I come with the highest authority to offer friendship and alliance. Please respond." Minister Kim pressed a button on her desk. "Colonel Ta, please handle this." Colonel Ta was young but smart. He had studied alien behavior for years. He sat at the communications desk and opened a channel. "Grand Emissary Xel, This is Colonel Tai of Earth's United Defense Force. We welcome you to Earth space. The alien's image appeared on the screen. Grand Emissary Excel looked different from the bird-like Vosteri aliens. He had smooth purple skin, 6 eyes in a circle, and long arms that ended in delicate fingers. He wore a robe covered in glowing symbols. Colonel Tai, I am honored. May I request a meeting with your world leaders? The matters I bring are of the highest importance. Colonel Tai kept his face calm. I am authorized to speak for Earth in this matter. What do you wish to discuss? The Grand Emissary seemed surprised. He blinked his 6 eyes in sequence. Colonel, the Galactic Concord wishes to offer Earth full membership. This is rare for a young species. You would have seats on all councils and access to all Concord technology. Minister Kim watched carefully from behind Colonel Ta. This was a new offer. The aliens had never suggested full membership before. That is generous, said Colonel Ta. What would Earth need to do in return? The Grand Emissary moved his hands in a flowing pattern. Only what all members do. Share your resources and discoveries. Allow Concord advisors to guide your development. Stop independent expansion until proper surveys are completed. Standard procedures. Colonel Ta glanced back at Minister Kim. She gave a small nod. Grand Emissary XL, said Colonel Ta. Earth appreciates your offer. However, we are not currently seeking diplomatic relations with any extraterrestrial civilization. This position has not changed. All 6 of the aliens' eyes widened at once. Colonel, perhaps I was not clear. This is unprecedented. No species has ever been offered full membership so early. We offer you the knowledge of 10,000 civilizations, protection from cosmic dangers, access to worlds you haven't even discovered. Colonel Tab remained calm. We understand the value of your offer. Our answer remains the same. But why? The Grand Emissary's voice rose slightly. What do humans want if not knowledge and safety? What are you waiting for? Minister Kim stepped forward. Grand Emissary, humans prefer to find our own path. We will contact the Concord when we are ready for diplomatic relations. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I will leave a package with full details of our offer. Please consider it carefully. The Concord has never encountered a species like yours. We do not know how to proceed. We will review your information, said Minister Kim. Safe journey, Grand Emissary. When the transmission ended, Colonel Ta looked at the minister. They're afraid of us. Minister Kim nodded. They don't understand why we don't need them. That makes them nervous. Outside, the alien ship turned slowly and moved back into space. It left behind a small container floating above the command center. Have the science team check that package, said Minister Kim. Then send it to Research Division. Let's see what they're so eager to give us. Colonel Ta smiled. And then we continue building our ships. Yes, said Minister Kim. We continue. 5 years passed. The stars looked the same, but everything else had changed. Admiral Jin stood on the bridge of the HSS Pathfinder, the largest ship humans had ever built. Through the wide glass windows, he could see the new colony on planet Hope. Thousands of lights sparkled on the planet's surface. Buildings, farms, and factories spread across the once empty land. Report, he said to his crew. Officer Park looked up from her screen. Colony 7 is now fully operational, Admiral. That makes 17 human colonies across 7 star systems. Admiral Jin nodded. This was just the beginning. 20 more colony ships were being built back in Earth's orbit. Any sign of our friends? He asked. Officer Park checked another screen. 1 Concord observation ship at the edge of the system. They're just watching. As usual. The Admiral smiled. The aliens still came with their offers, each time with better gifts and lower demands. Each time, humans said no. Back on Earth, Engineer Sue looked at the alien device on her workbench. It was part of the technology package the Grand Emissary had left 5 years ago. The aliens thought it was advanced, a gift that would amaze humans. Sue picked it up and laughed. "Look at this power system," she said to her team. "So inefficient." Her assistant, Dr. Num, nodded. "Their artificial gravity technology is interesting, but we've already built something better." Engineer Sue put the device down. Around her lab were dozens of human inventions that worked better than the alien technology. Humans had taken a few ideas from the alien gifts, but most of what the Concorde offered was already outdated by human standards. "They still think we're children," said Sue. "They don't understand how fast we learn." In deep space, far from any star, Captain Da led a fleet of human exploration ships. These were not colony vessels but warships built for speed and power. They pushed into regions the Concorde had never mapped. "New star system ahead," reported his navigator. "No signs of habitation." Captain Da nodded. "Begin standard survey. Look for resources and potential colony sites." As the ships moved toward the new star, a message came through. Captain Da read it and smiled. "Change of plans," he announced to his crew. "We've just received word that Research Base 8 has successfully tested the new jump drive. Our travel time between stars will now be cut in half." The crew cheered. This meant humans could reach even more distant stars, faster than ever before. On the Concorde Central World, the Council of Species held another emergency meeting about humans. Ambassador Trill, now older with faded feathers, gave his report. "The humans now have 17 fully functional colonies," he said. "They built them all without our help, without our star maps, without our terraforming technology." Counselor Mira looked worried. "How? Most species take decades to establish even one colony." Ambassador Trill changed the display to show a human warship. "They keep improving their technology. Their ships are now faster than many of ours. Their weapons are—" He paused, concerning. Another counselor spoke up. "Have we offered them enough? Perhaps we should give them more technology." Ambassador Trill shook his head. "We sent them our latest diplomatic package last month. They sent it back unopened with a note saying they're not currently interested in outside assistance." The council chamber grew quiet. "What do they want?" asked Counselor Mira finally. "What are they waiting for?" No one had an answer. Back on the HSS Pathfinder, Admiral Jin received a new message from Earth Command. He read it and turned to his crew. "New orders," he said. "We're to proceed to the Centauri Reach and establish Defense Outpost 3. Officer Park entered the coordinates. "That's beyond Concorde mapped space, sir." Admiral Jin nodded. "Yes, it is. That's exactly why we're going there." The massive human ship turned and accelerated into the darkness, heading for stars no alien had ever visited. The Concorde Council chamber was no longer calm. Aliens from 100 worlds shouted over each other. Fear filled the air. "Order. We must have order," called Counselor Mira. Her gray skin had become paler with stress. The room slowly quieted. On the large screen above them, images showed human mining ships in a star system the Concorde had labeled as resource poor. "The humans have started mining in the Tauri system," said Ambassador Trill. "His once bright feathers were now dull with age. Our surveys found nothing valuable there, but the humans found rare metals we didn't even detect. An alien with tentacles waved them angrily." "How?" "Our survey ships used the most advanced sensors in the galaxy." Ambassador Trill clicked his beak nervously. "Humans think differently. They look for different things. What we consider worthless, they find valuable." Another image appeared on the screen. It showed humans building a base on a frozen moon. The temperature there was far below freezing. No Concorde species would live in such a place. "They adapt to environments we can't even survive in," said Counselor Mira. "They build colonies in places we would never consider." The council watched in silence as the images changed again. Now they could see human military exercises. Colonel Min was leading a fleet of small human ships against a target 3 times their size. The target was destroyed in minutes. "Their military tactics are unexpected," said a large alien with 6 eyes. They don't follow standard battle patterns. They do things no sensible species would try. Ambassador Trill stepped forward. Honored Council, I have studied humans for many years now. I believe there is only one solution. He paused, looking around the room. We must offer them a seat on the High Council immediately. Gasps filled the chamber. A small green alien stood up angrily. Impossible. The waiting period is 1,000 years. No species joins the High Council before proving themselves worthy. Councillor Mira raised her hand for silence. Ambassador Trill is right. We must try something new. Humans do not follow normal patterns. Our usual approaches have failed. On Earth, President Park sat in his office in Seoul. He read the latest message from the Concord. It offered humans a seat on their High Council, full access to all Concord technology, and exclusive rights to 10 star systems. He placed the message in a folder with all the previous alien offers. The folder was very thick now. His assistant entered the room. Mr. President, the Defense Ministry is waiting for your decision on the new colony ships. President Park nodded. Tell them to proceed. We'll launch the next 20 colony ships next month as planned. And the Concord's offer? File it with the others, said the President. When we're ready, we'll talk to them. Not before. In space, near one of the new human colonies, Colonel Min watched her ships practice battle formations. The ships moved in perfect unity, then broke apart in unexpected patterns. Her second-in-command approached. Colonel, we've detected another Concord observation vessel at the edge of the system. Colonel Min smiled. Let them watch. They might learn something. On her screen, she could see construction of the massive defense platform that would protect this colony. It was bigger than anything humans had built before. Soon, all human colonies would have these defenses. Do you think they'll ever attack us? Asked her second-in-command. Colonel Min shook her head. No, they're too afraid of what they don't understand. And they don't understand us at all. As she spoke, her fleet formed a new pattern and accelerated to full speed. On the Concord observation ship, alien watchers recorded everything with growing concern. The gap between humans and aliens was closing fast, and the aliens knew it. Commander Jai stood on the bridge of his mining vessel, the Earth Harvester. The ship was large and practical, built for work rather than beauty. Through the main window, he could see a yellow star with 7 planets. Scan complete, Commander, said his science officer. The 4th planet has rich mineral deposits. The 6th has frozen gases we can use for fuel. Commander G nodded. This system looked perfect for a new mining operation. Any signs of life? The science officer checked her screens. No intelligent life forms. But, she paused, I'm detecting an artificial structure on the 2nd moon of the gas giant. Commander G frowned. Show me. On the main screen, an image appeared of a small building on a rocky moon. It had the curved shape that marked all Concord structures. It's a Concord observation post, said the science officer. Very small. Probably only has a few aliens running it. Commander G thought for a moment. Protocol was clear in these cases. This system wasn't claimed by the Concord. Finding an observation post didn't change that. Send them the standard message, he ordered. Then begin landing operations on the 4th planet. 2 days later, humans had built a small mining base on the 4th planet. Machines were already digging into the surface, pulling out valuable metals. More ships arrived from Earth, bringing workers and equipment. In the small Concord observation post, 3 aliens watched in shock. They had been in this system for 30 years, observing its development. No one had ever visited before. They're mining the planet, said one alien to another. Without permission, without surveys, without proper procedures. I sent a message to Central Command, said the 3rd alien. They told us to observe only. Do not engage. But as they watched, a human ship approached their moon. It landed nearby, and a human in a spacesuit walked to their building. The human placed a small device by their door and left. The aliens cautiously examined the device. It contained a message in perfect Concord Standard language. Greetings from Earth. We have established mining operations in this system. You are welcome to maintain your observation post. Please do not interfere with human activities. If you require assistance, signal using this device. The aliens were shocked by the casual tone. Humans were treating them as visitors in a system they had been observing for decades. 3 days later, a Concord defense fleet arrived. 6 large ships with powerful weapons. They took positions above the human mining colony. The lead ship sent a message. Human vessels, you are in a Concord-monitored system. Cease operations immediately and prepare for escort back to your territory. Commander G received the message while overseeing the construction of the colony's power plant. He calmly walked back to his ship and sent a response. Concord vessels, this system has no registered claim under galactic law. Our operations will continue. Any hostile action will be met with appropriate response. The Concord ships didn't move. They hadn't expected such a direct refusal. 1 day later, 3 human warships appeared at the edge of the system. They were sleek and powerful, clearly built for battle. Admiral Yun of Earth's 3rd Fleet sent a simple message to the Concord ships. This is Admiral Yun. I am authorized to use all necessary force to protect human interests in this system. You have 24 hours to withdraw or declare peaceful intentions. The Concord commander was stunned. In just 4 days, humans had established a mining colony, built defenses, and brought military support. Such speed was impossible by Concord standards. For 3 tense days, the ships faced each other in space. The Concord vessels scanned the human warships, trying to understand their capabilities. Finally, the Concord fleet turned and left the system. As they departed, Admiral Yun turned to his communications officer. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we need to speed up the colony plan. The Concord is getting nervous. Director Choi sat alone in her office deep under Seoul. The room had no windows and only one door with 3 security locks. This was the heart of Earth intelligence, the most secret place on the planet. On her desk sat a small black device. It didn't look special, but it had taken her team 5 years to build it. The device could break into Concord communication systems. For 6 months, it had been collecting secret alien messages. Her assistant knocked and entered, carrying a tablet. Director, we finished translating the latest batch of Concord messages. You need to see this right away. Director Choi took the tablet and began to read. Her eyes widened. After a few minutes, she put the tablet down and took a deep breath. Are we sure this is correct? She asked. Her assistant nodded. We checked the translation 3 times. There's no mistake. Director Choi stood up. Call an emergency meeting with the President and the Defense Council. 1 hour. 1 hour later, President Park and the 12 members of the Defense Council sat around a large table. The room was secure, with no electronic devices allowed inside. Director Choi stood at the front, her face serious. For years, we've wondered why the Concord keeps trying to make diplomatic contact with us. Why they offer us technology and protection we don't need. Today, we found the answer. She touched a button, and a screen lit up on the wall. It showed Concord messages, translated into Korean. The Concord is not what it appears to be, she said. It is not a friendly alliance of species helping each other. It is a system designed to control developing civilizations. The room was silent as everyone read the messages. For 40,000 years, continued Director Choi, the Concord has approached every new spacefaring species the same way. They offer technology, protection, and knowledge. They make the new species dependent on Concord help. Then they slowly take control. Defense Minister Kim frowned. How does this work? The technology they offer has hidden weaknesses, explained Director Choi. The star maps show only systems the Concord wants you to find. The protection comes with strict rules about development. No species is allowed to grow too powerful or too independent. She changed the screen to show more messages. Most importantly, they've never faced a species that said no. Every other civilization eagerly accepted their help. They became part of the Concord system without realizing they were being controlled. President Park leaned forward. And because we refused their help. Because we refused, said Director Choi. They don't know what to do. Their entire system depends on species asking for help and becoming dependent. We never asked. We never became dependent. Admiral Bin, the head of Earth's Space Forces, spoke next. Is there any mention of military action against us? Director Choi shook her head. No, they're afraid of direct conflict. They don't understand how we develop so quickly. They fear what would happen if they attacked us. The room was quiet as everyone thought about this information. Finally, President Park stood up. For years, we've kept the Concord at a distance because we wanted to develop on our own terms. Now we know we were right to be careful. He looked around the table at Earth's leaders. The question is, what do we do now? Do we continue to ignore them? Or do we confront them with what we know? Admiral Bin smiled slightly. I have a better idea. If the Concord has been doing this for 40,000 years, there must be other species who realize the truth. Species who pulled away from Concord control. Director Choi nodded slowly. Species who might be willing to talk to us. Species who might become real allies, not controllers. President Park's eyes lit up with understanding. Find them, he ordered. Find the species who broke away from the Concord. It's time for humans to make some diplomatic contacts of our own. Captain Huan stood on the bridge of the HSS Diplomat. The name was new for a human ship. Until now, humans had named their vessels after explorers, warriors, or scientific ideas. This was the first ship named for peace. We're approaching the Concord hub, said his navigator. Their traffic control is hailing us. Captain Huan straightened his uniform. Tell them this is a diplomatic mission. We request permission to address the council. The navigator looked surprised but sent the message. For 10 years, humans had avoided the Concord. Now they were going straight to the heart of alien territory. The Concord hub was huge. It was a giant ring in space with thousands of ships coming and going. Species from across the galaxy lived and worked there. As the human ship approached, other vessels moved away, giving it extra space. The Diplomat was not large, but its sleek design and powerful engines made it look dangerous. They're directing us to a docking bay, said the navigator. And they've granted your request to address the council. They seemed surprised. Captain Huan smiled. They should be. This will be the first time humans have asked for a meeting. 2 hours later, Captain Huan walked into the Great Concord Council chamber. Hundreds of alien species watched from their seats. At the center of the room stood Ambassador Trill and Counselor Mira, both looking older but still in positions of power. Captain Huan of Earth, announced Counselor Mira. You have requested to address the council. This is unprecedented for your species. We welcome this change in human policy. Captain Huan walked to the speaking platform. The room was silent. Every alien wanted to hear what humans had to say after years of refusing to talk. Honored Council, he began. I bring a message from Earth, but it may not be the message you expect. He pressed a button on his wrist device. Above the platform, a large image appeared. It showed a star map, but not of Concord space. These were stars beyond the edges of Concord territory. In the past 10 years, while expanding our colonies, humans discovered something interesting, said Captain Huan. We found 18 developing species in these regions of space. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Concord thought they knew all developing species in the galaxy. These young civilizations are just beginning to explore their own star systems, continued Captain Huan. According to Concord protocols, they should be approached and offered guidance. Counselor Mira nodded. This is valuable information. The Concord will send diplomatic. We have already made contact with them, interrupted Captain Huan. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted questions and objections. Counselor Mira raised her hands for silence. You have contacted these species. she asked, her voice shaking. Without Concord approval, without proper protocols. Captain Juan nodded. We have established friendly relations with all 18. We have shared some of our technology, but we have not made them dependent on us. We have not controlled their development. Ambassador Trill stepped forward, his old feathers trembling. This is against all Concord rules. Young species must be guided properly. You mean controlled, said Captain Juan calmly. We know the truth about the Concord now. We know how you create dependency in young species. The room grew very quiet. But that is not all, continued Captain Juan. He changed the image. Now it showed 3 different alien species, none familiar to the Concord. We also found these civilizations. They call themselves the Recluse Nations. They withdrew from galactic affairs centuries ago. Counselor Mira's gray skin paled. Impossible. No species leaves the Concord. These did, said Captain Juan. They were tired of Concord control. They retreated to distant regions and developed on their own. They have shared their advanced technology with us. In exchange, we have given them our creativity and new ideas. He looked around the silent chamber. Humans were never ignoring diplomacy. We were simply waiting for the right partners. Partners who wanted true exchange, not control. The council chamber remained silent. For the first time in 40,000 years, the Concord didn't know what to say. 10 years had passed since Captain Juan's visit to the Concord hub. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Major Kang stood tall in her dress uniform, watching the ceremony with pride. Around her, the large hall of Earth's Space Academy was filled with people and aliens. This was the graduation day for the first class of alien officers trained by humans. Attention, called Major Kang. The students stood straight. 50 young beings from 20 different species. Some had feathers, some had scales, some had blue or green skin. All wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's Space Forces. Today you return to your worlds as the first graduates of our shared training program, said Major Kang. You carry with you not just knowledge, but a new way of thinking. Independence, creativity, freedom. In the front row, President Park watched with other human leaders. Beside them sat representatives from the Recluse Nations, ancient species who had left the Concord centuries ago. They nodded in approval as each student received their graduation medal. Far away on the Concord hub, a very different meeting was taking place. The council chamber was no longer filled with shouting. The mood was serious and quiet. We cannot continue as before, said the new head counselor, a young Vosteri named Krill. He had replaced the old leaders after the revelations about Concord methods became public. The human-led alliance grows stronger each day. Already 32 species have left our influence to join them. Around the table, Concord leaders nodded in agreement. The old system of control and dependency was failing. We must adapt or fade away, continued Counselor Krill. Today we vote on a new approach. True diplomacy. True partnership. Back on Earth, Admiral Bin prepared for an important meeting. His ship, the HSS Unity, was the largest vessel humans had ever built. It carried not weapons but meeting rooms and living quarters for 100 different species. The Concord representatives have arrived, Admiral, said his aide. Admiral Bin nodded. Show them in. The doors opened, and 5 aliens entered. Leading them was Counselor Krill. He bowed in the human style. Admiral Bin, thank you for agreeing to this historic meeting. The Admiral gestured to the seats around the table. Welcome to Earth Space, Counselor. This time, we are actually interested in talking. Counselor Krill placed a data device on the table. We bring the reformed Concord Charter. No more control. No more dependency. A true alliance of equals. Admiral Bin smiled slightly. It took you 40,000 years to learn this lesson. Humans learned it in our first few centuries of civilization. We are slow to change, admitted the counselor. But we do learn eventually. As they began their discussions, hundreds of ships from dozens of species flew past the Unity. The human-led alliance was now a major power in the galaxy. The 18 developing species were growing under human guidance, not control. The recluse nations had emerged from hiding to share their ancient wisdom. In a small observation room, Engineer Sue, now Ambassador Sue, watched the proceedings with a Vosteri diplomat who had been part of the original contact mission many years ago. "We never understood," said the old Vosteri. "All those years we tried to bring you into our system. We couldn't see that our way wasn't the only way." Ambassador Sue smiled. "Humans have always preferred honest relationships between equals. We wanted partners, not masters or servants. And now the galaxy is better for it," said the Vosteri. Outside the viewports, ships from 100 worlds moved through space together. The stars were now filled with many voices, many ideas, many paths forward. Humanity hadn't rejected diplomacy after all. They had simply waited for diplomacy worth accepting. The end.